Welcome to StaffsLive. I'm Alice Bentley.
And I'm Anil Plaha. The headlines at 4 o'clock.
Fenton have applied for their own body separate from the City Council.
The Stafford campus at Staffordshire University could be closed and relocated to Stoke.
And Stoke City crashed out of the Capital One Cup to Manchester United. A man who was killed when his car hit a tree in Kingsley Moor has been named.
He was Stephen Gould, who was 50 and from Wiston.
Police say his Toyota Hilux hit a tree on the A52 Leek Road, which was closed for 5 hours. In the past hour, a petition from the people of Fenton requesting independence has been handed to Stoke-on-Trent City Council.
Residents have said they feel they need their own identity. Pam Muir was at the Civic Centre.
The people of Fenton say their town is losing its identity. Independent shops are struggling to stay open as larger national shops win custom. The library shut, the town hall closed down last year, and the money is spent elsewhere. The people of Fenton are fighting back. Today, they give a 2,000-strong petition to Stoke City Council campaigning for an independent Fenton body.
Basically, it's negotiation.
A decision is due next month on whether to close the Stafford campus of Staffordshire University and fully locate it to Stoke.
But some students and business owners are feeling angry and confused about any potential move. Edward Connolly reports.
Storm clouds are gathering over Staffordshire University and its place in the town itself. Currently split between Stoke and Stafford, uni bosses are considering one campus at Stoke instead of two, a thought favourable with some students.
Well, I actually have to commute from Manchester to here on a daily basis, so and since obviously Stoke is closer to Manchester, it's actually will be kind of an advantage for me.
Well, it would affect me personally. I wouldn't have to travel as far because I'm a Stoke living student when I come into Stafford.
Opinion is different in Stafford town centre though, with the public and business owners disagreeing.
But the Stafford campus, I think it's a lovely place. I have actually been there. I do know somebody who works there, and I think it would just be terrible to have to go all the way over to Stoke. You know, what's wrong with Stafford?
Closing of the Staffordshire campus would affect our business, as the students amount to 25% of our daily takings.
I sat down with Mark Attersley, Director of Finance and Infrastructure, to find out more.
There are, I guess, more options for people to work together. Sharing of facilities is beneficial to the university, and also we have too much space. As we stand today, we're not a great user of our space. We have surplus accommodation across both campuses, and we're trying to satisfy the university and its future and its students' needs going forwards, and trying to come to the best decision for those.
With a decision due next month, some students and business owners will be hoping that the Stafford campus will remain open for business. This is Edward Connolly reporting for StaffsLive.
It would seem like a huge loss if Stafford lost their Stafford campus. Now, Old Bulletin Community Centre will be staying open thanks to donations.
The community centre was due to close tomorrow because of a lack of funding, but enough money has been raised to keep the facility open. Tom Lane has more.
The community centre in Bulletin was facing its last day, but thanks to donations from various visitors and volunteers, the centre will now be staying open until at least March.
Tomorrow we would have closed permanently. Tomorrow would have been our last day.
We do use it regularly, and it is really important for the community, for children, adults, disabled people to come down regularly to use.
It's very hard to put into words how I feel, to be quite honest with you. It's really shocked me. It's really knocked me back how much it does mean to them. You know, I just thought it was me battling on my own, and it isn't.
The good news for the residents of Bulletin is their community centre will be staying open, if only for now. Thomas Lane reporting for StaffsLive.
Friday will be your last chance to get Christmas cards delivered with the Royal Mail.
Staff at the Newcastle-under-Lyme delivery office have been busy making sure your Christmas cards and parcels get to where they need to be this year.
But they've been having fun in the process. Erica Crompton reports.
The local Royal Delivery Office has opened its doors to thousands of letters to Santa today. Staff are ensuring that every letter to Lapland gets replied to, and they'll be delivering your Christmas presents too.
With letters that kids send to Santa Claus, what happens is they go to the mail centre and they get sorted through into the special box that has been sent for Santa, and then what Royal Mail do is in effect send a response back to the children from Santa.
Staff in seasonal woolly hats are pushing the envelope this season. They tell StaffsLive not only are they working hard, but they're also singing and dancing while they do it.
And yeah, we're just trying to get everything delivered before Christmas Day, really. We want people to have their cards and their parcels before Christmas Day.
The festive period has certainly put a spring in staff steps here.
I've got a lot of things in the post that need to be sent out for Christmas.
I know, I hope they don't have too much fun and they don't get delivered to us in time. Now, people in Cannock could now be fined up to £70 for spitting in public.
This comes after 2 locals were taken to court by the council. Our reporter, Shelia Chowdhury, has more.
Take a look at this girl who is doing something disgusting and walks away. Spitting in public is a very nasty habit, which something a lot of people do almost every day, and fines of dog fouling and littering have caused a great concern to the public. So what does the court say about spitting, and why do people think spitting in public is okay?
We should examine whether or not spitting in public should come under a bylaw for Cannock Chase District Council. And I've asked the officers to examine the possibilities of that happening, and at the moment the officers are compiling a report which will go to my cabinet colleagues for consideration early next year. Because there's nothing worse than walking around the town and you get spit on your shoes and the kids trample it in as well. I'm anticipating that it will probably be in the same region as what we have now for other fixed penalty charges, around about £70.
Shelia Chowdhury reporting for StaffsLive.
6 injured seal pups orphaned by the storms battering the UK have been transferred to a wildlife centre in Nantwich.
The transfer to Stapley Grange helps a centre in Norfolk, which had been treating them.
They were dealing with more than 100 injured pups after a tidal surge hit the east coast. Our reporter Lee Oliver has been to see how they're getting on.
The pups are now in the safe hands of the staff and volunteers at the centre. The transfer was essential to help the Norfolk Wildlife Centre, now full to capacity with over 100 pups. The pups are less than 4 weeks old and their rehabilitation could take up to 5 or 6 months.
Out of the 6, 2 are actually taking fish now, which is great, and the other 4 are still on a herring soup with lactate solution, which is a little bit more difficult to get down them. But it's getting a lot easier for them now. When they first arrived, they were very stressed. Not only had they the ordeal of the storms and being taken into captivity, they then had to endure a 5-hour trip across to us. But they're calming down now, and they're doing pretty well.
The Met Office say this is actually the worst storm in 60 years, but it couldn't have come at a worse time for the seal pups because it's now that they depend upon the mother's milk. And if it's not for places like the RSPCA, well, who knows what would happen. Lee Oliver, StaffsLive.
Well, they are absolutely adorable. I wish I'd had to go down there, but apart from when they were doing the dinner time, it didn't look very nice. And we'll pass over to the sport now, and an eventful night for Stoke City last night, Jonathan.
It certainly was, Alice. Unfortunately, Stoke City bowed out of the Capital One Cup last night after a 2-0 defeat against Manchester United. The Premier League champions proved too strong for the Potters in a match disrupted by inclement conditions at the Britannia Stadium. Mark Hughes was left frustrated as he felt the weather conditions worked dramatically against his side. Alex Sarwar reports.
The Britannia Stadium was certainly not used to this sort of weather. Pouring rain, gusting winds and a sudden hailstorm forced referee Mark Clatterford to temporarily suspend play in the 29th minute until the weather had slightly subsided. The elements died down, but it was United who took advantage, Ashley Young leaving Torrington no chance with this stunning effort.
What a strike from Ashley Young to break the deadlock.
Stoke rallied but failed to make their chances count. John Walters particularly guilty. And the Red Devils duly made them pay with 12 minutes left. Young setting up captain Patrice Evra, who curled in beautifully. Stoke manager Mark Hughes was left cursing his luck at how the bad weather had affected his side, who must now turn their attention back to the Premier League.
In the first half, when the elements were against us, I thought we did remarkably well. We restricted them to very few opportunities, and I made a couple going the other way with good crosses into the box, but unfortunately, when we came out, the elements had calmed down and we didn't get the benefit going the other way.
Port Vale travel to MK Dons this Saturday, looking to continue their fine away form. Vale have kept clean sheets in all 5 of their away wins this season, and assistant manager Mark Grew feels his players have the attributes to be attacking away from home.
I've said this many times, the onus is on the home club to come at us, you know, and we are quick on the break. We've got players that, you know, can catch people out, and we've done that on numerous occasions.
Team news for Vale is that Chris Neal is out with a wrist injury, whilst Adam Yates and Rob Taylor are still doubtful. Despite Doug Loft returning to training, Saturday's game comes too soon for the midfielder. Stoke's Adrian Lewis has stormed through to the second round of the Ladbrokes World Darts Championship after a comfortable 3-0 whitewash of Dennis Smith. Matthew Collis has more.
Lewis was in terrific form from the start and averaged just under 105 to take the first set. Lewis continued the drubbing by taking all 9 legs, and jackpot didn't allow Smith 1 dart at a double.
Double 10! Yes! Double 10 it is! Adrian Lewis, without dropping a leg, wins 3-0.
After the match, Lewis was delighted with his first round performance.
Yeah, it's always going to be tough first round. Dennis didn't really get going. I mean, Dennis is a quality player. Obviously, you know, like I say, he didn't get going tonight, and I took my chances.
Lewis will now face Vincent van der Voort, who beat Matt Clark 3-1 on Tuesday.
Nantwich Town are hoping the busy festive period can edge them closer to the playoff places in the Evo Stick Northern Premier. Sam Parr went down to the Weaver Stadium to gauge the mood.
As the band plays and Christmas approaches, there is plenty of optimism amongst Dabbers fans. Having lost just once in the last 7 games, success over the festive period will build upon a solid start for manager Danny Johnson.
No, it's great. You know, it's a magnificent football club. You know, everything about the place is geared up to progress, and you know that matches my ambitions.
Captain Alex Frost will hope to ward off any threat of a winter chill, getting in the way of his team's push for a playoff place.
Pick rowers are household names and Knights of the Realm, but even a double gold medalist like former staff student Andrew Triggs-Hodge is barely known. So what about those without funding, at the grassroots, or should that be at local lake level? Gabby Saper has been finding out.
It's the time of morning at Trenton Boat Club when most people would still be tucked up in bed. These amateur rowers are already setting up for their first training session of the day. The temperature is hovering around 0 and there is frost on the ground. The prospect of a tumble into the icy water of the lake doesn't bear thinking about. But even with a couple of months to go before their next competitive event, there's still a tight training schedule to observe.
Today we're trying to get a long period of time on the water, but with a slow stroke rate to make sure that we're moving the boat in between each stroke. So we pretty much spend, because we haven't got a race now until February time, we're just going to go back to basics a little bit and get everything moving and getting the crew boats working together, and then hopefully up the stroke rate before the race if it all goes to plan.
I want you to do some half spoon depths, what you've just been doing, but half a spoon depth.
Whether you're an individual competitor or part of a crew, it's a gruelling daily routine that's all too familiar to those who eventually achieve Olympic gold.
Rather you than me, I think, Gabby, that did look absolutely freezing. That's your sport update now. Back to Alison Anil.
Thanks, Jonathan. Now, it's not going to be looking good for those outside, as it's looking like it's sleeting right now. Now for a look at the weather with Gail Turner.
This afternoon there'll be a high chance of ice on the roads, so allow any extra time for any possible traffic build-ups out there. It will continue to be windy, but not as bad as last night. This evening, it will feel colder with temperatures of around 1 degree, so you must wrap up warm if you're heading out tonight. Tomorrow will be a cold start with chances of showers throughout Staffordshire and lows of 3 degrees. But later in the day, it looks to see and start a bit sunnier. So, wherever you're going this week and for the rest of the festive season, make sure that you wrap up warm and you take extra precautions on your journey, as it's going to be cold and windy out there. Back to you in the studio.
Now we're just going to recap those headlines for you. A man who was killed when his car hit a tree in Kingsley Moor has been named. His name was Stephen Gould and he was 50 and from Whiston. Police say his Toyota Hilux was hit a tree on the A52 Leek Road, which was closed for 5 hours.
Fenton have applied for their own body separate from the City Council.
And the Stafford campus at the Staffordshire University could be closed and relocated to Stoke.
Stoke City crashed out of the Capital One Cup to Manchester United.
Now that's the latest from us. If you want to find out any more on these stories, visit our website, staffslive.co.uk.
Join us again tomorrow at 12:30, but for now, it's goodbye.